2D Mario. Man, what a topic. Wait, something's missing. Much better. Anyway, 2D Mario games. They're some of the most iconic video games ever made. I mean, you can show anyone a screenshot from Mario Bros. 1 on the NES, and they could tell you what it is. I mean, the original trilogy was so great and world renowned that they didn't just revolutionize the 2D platforming genre, but video games as a whole. However, even the best video games of all time are bound to get stale after a little while, and this is exactly what happened. Sure, Nintendo did the best they could during the NES and Super Nintendo era of Mario, but there's only so much you can do to make these games feel unique. This inevitably led to Nintendo needing to innovate more than ever before to keep 2D Mario kicking. And what do? That's right! They released the same damn game 5 times over the course of half a decade. A lot of people thought that 2D Mario was dead and that Nintendo was leaving it in the dust in favor of its 3D counterpart. And hey, that wouldn't have necessarily been a bad thing.
Alright, so I'm rewatching this and I'm trying to figure out what the heck was going through my head when I said that the death of 2D Mario wouldn't be a bad thing. Like, what? The 2D Mario games are great. I love them. I would be very, very upset if we never saw another 2D Mario game, especially before Wonder came out. I would have been destroyed. I don't know what I was thinking. As good as the 3D games are, the 2D games have always been the backbone of Mario. You can't get rid of them. I don't I don't know what I was thinking when I said this. Anyway, not what I meant. Don't take that seriously.
As, at least in my opinion, every single 3D Mario game has been an absolute banger. Yeah, even that little weird one. But 2D games have always been such an integral part to Mario's image, so the character would have inevitably taken a massive hit. And, well, it seemed this was unfortunately going to be the path Nintendo chose, because the last new 2D Mario game they had made was back in 2012. That is unless you count Luigi U as its own game, but that game just started off as digital DLC for New Super Mario Bros. U, and yeah, I guess it is kind of different enough to be counted as its own game, but I won't consider it so for the sake of this video, and it's still very similar to New Super Mario Bros. U. That was until Mario Wonder came out over a decade later and changed absolutely everything. So, without further ado, I present to you my video on how Mario Wonder saved the most iconic game franchise of all time. Man, I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time. I mean, this was one of the first video ideas I came up with that helped me convince myself to switch over to this style of video from that. I mean, what the heck was I thinking? Anyway, back to Mario. As usual, let's get started with some backstory. Real quick, I just want to get this out of the way. I'm only going to be talking about major releases on home consoles, because that's where the real meat of what I'm trying to say is. Of course, except for New Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2, because they are both big parts of a major problem that's going to pop up later. Okay, so the year is 1985, and Mario is just now making an appearance in the world. He helped Nintendo finally find their footing after all the playing cards and Love hotels? What the heck, Nintendo? What were you thinking? Anyway, that's another topic for another time. Anyway, Mario was an instant hit and was sweeping the world with his innovative gameplay and level design. Then Mario Bros. 2 released Not You in the year of 1988 and massively changed the formula. Now, while I believe it was a good game, it was very divisive and still kind of is to this day. It was just a big departure from its predecessor. Nintendo then went back to what worked with the amazing Super Mario Bros. 3, also in 1988. Man, this series was on a roll, and it was just getting better and better, with Super Mario Bros. 3 changing just enough to keep things feeling good. And then Super Mario World came out in 1990, and it was another amazing game. Technology, however, was getting better though, as we can see with games like F-Zero and Star Fox, and hell, even Pilot Wings, but Mario was still keeping it nice and simple.
So I'm rewatching this segment, and I want to make sure that the point I'm trying to make comes across how I mean it and doesn't get misinterpreted, because I feel like with how I said it, it could easily be that way. When I say that it was still keeping things simple, I'm not saying that the game is like basic at all. I'm just saying that compared to something like Mario Bros. 3, it really doesn't innovate a whole lot using the hardware. Sure, it does more than any of the NES games. It's just, again, comparing to something like Star Fox or F-Zero, with those games being as innovative as they were with 3D technology, this really just didn't do a whole lot to stand out from the NES entries. Of course, besides obviously the new art style and a few new mechanics here and there. That's all I mean. Not calling the game bad by any stretch. All right, that's all.
Which at the time seemed fine, and hey, at least they made the game look nice. Then came Super Mario 64 in 1996, and god damn, that's another conversation for another time. Just know it was really, really good. Next up was Super Mario Sunshine in 2002, another 3D installment, and hey, it was a fun game and all, but at this point, it had been over a decade since the last 2D Mario, and I mean, it would be nice to have. Boom! Nintendo dropped another banger in 2006 with New Super Mario Bros. On the DS. It was certainly a long wait, but man, it was worth it. Gone were the thoughts that Nintendo thought 2D Mario was old news and was stale, because man, this game, it was just fantastic. It was truly 2D Mario refined to perfection. Well, I think you can tell from what I'm saying that people loved it, and Nintendo loves people's money. So what do? Innovate yet again in the 2D platforming genre and continue to make 2D Mario games that change just enough to remain fresh, but not enough to be upsetting to older fans? Nope, they released the same damn game over and over again for half a decade. New Super Mario Bros., New Super Mario Bros. Wii, New Super Mario Bros. 2, which was actually the third game in the series, and New Super Mario Bros. U with the Luigi U DLC thrown in. Alright, let's get back on track. New Super Mario Bros. U was the final original 2D Mario game for over a decade. Why was this? The games just got so boring. Now, don't get me wrong, these games are good. I even consider them to be the definitive 2D Mario experience. The issue was it was all we had for over a decade, which wore them out. Combine that with the fact that each game was just more samey than the last, and they naturally just stopped being purchased and stopped making money. They just thought people were tired of 2D Mario, which I mean clearly wasn't the case. Look at these sales. Now, something else that could have happened besides what I just said was Nintendo had given us Mario Maker and was like, if you want to play 2D Mario levels, just go play Mario Maker. The problem with that is 90% of the Mario Maker levels that are out there are slop. And then the other 10%, while they're good, they don't have that signature Nintendo charm to them that every 2D Mario game has. It just didn't fit. I think this is also possible because Nintendo has shown in the past that they can be super lazy. This naturally led to nothing but 3D Mario games, which were great, being made for the foreseeable future. Okay, now that's the backstory. Let's move on to how Wonder saved 2D Mario. Alright, So the year is 2023, and people really want a new 2D Mario, and Nintendo finally decides to do something smart for a change and announce their new 2D Mario game, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And the game looks great. It has a new art style that's gorgeous, the levels look unique, and Mario taking hallucinogens is a main mechanic. It looked like Nintendo was finally giving us a new and unique 2D Mario. But the game wasn't out yet, and we really didn't know a whole bunch about it, so people were cautiously optimistic. Anyway, a couple months later, the game comes out, and just, man, it was awesome. People were in love with this game, and the best part, 2D Mario was back. It rekindled people's faith in the series. People no longer considered 2D Mario to be something long lost to the past, inferior in Nintendo's eyes to most, if not all, 3D Mario games. Not only that, but it introduced a whole new generation to not only 2D Mario games, but 2D gaming as a whole. No longer can people call 2D Mario a samey, boring mess, because this game saved it. To sum things up, New Super Mario Bros. Was old and stale, and Wonder added new life to 2D Mario. So exactly how did it breathe new life into the series? Well, with its refreshing gameplay, of course. Let's start off with the hub world. Well, it's nothing like we've ever seen from a 2D Mario before. The closest comparison I can think of right now would be Super Mario 3D World. But one, that's not a 2D Mario, and two, it's still vastly different from Mario Wonders in so many ways. You traverse these open world islands where you can pick almost any level you want, pretty much whenever you want, as long as you have the required seed amount. The transitions from world to world aren't bad at all either. This is because, in order to walk from island to island, you cross through the Petal Isles, which isn't a world by itself, but is instead an area you use to traverse from world to world. Think of it sort of like a palate cleanse for the next dish you're about to eat. It takes that old taste out of your mouth and gets you ready for the new one. Now, this might not seem that big, but it is a wild change from 2D Mario games of the past, which were always almost completely linear in world design. You'd be stuck on a path with you automatically walking from one level to the next. The worlds in past games also just didn't mesh together well at all. I mean, you could be in the dry dunes of Layer Cake Desert one second, climb a small ladder, and be up in the cold mountains of Frosted Glacier in the next. It was really jarring and super immersion breaking. Wonder thankfully fixed this issue. Next, the levels themselves are just absolutely incredible. Let's take a look at one level from New Super Mario Bros. Okay, now Super Mario Bros. Wii, now New Super Mario Bros. 2, and now New Super Mario Bros. U, and now Show Wonder. Now I'm willing to bet a pretty solid chunk of y'all didn't even realize that I actually showed New Super Mario Bros. Wii when I said U, and U when I said Wii. Now, if I substituted any of those with Wonder, you would have known right off the bat. Of course, because of the art style, but also the design of the level just feels so unique, especially when the Wonder Flower is in play. I mean, every single level in this game just feels so distinct. Some levels are maze-like, with you having to search for the Wonder Flower and its seeds. Some are more linear and use enemies that do new things to spice them up. And it almost always seems like they never go too deep into the gimmicks of each level. A big problem with a lot of video games from all periods of time is that they go way too hard on gimmicks. Just as an example, Sonic Unleashed is overall a pretty good game. So why do a lot of people dislike it? Well, that's because of the game's main gimmick, the Werehog. Now, the Werehog isn't a bad gimmick by any means, and it's a relatively unique idea that's used to break up the standard flow of the game, which is good because it keeps the main gameplay from getting too stale too quickly. Now, the problem with this, for some people at least, was that they went way too overboard with it. The Werehog levels did help break up the pacing, but in the process, the Werehog levels themselves became really stale and really boring really fast. This is unfortunately what happens with a lot of video games that rely too much on gimmicks. Not Mario Wonder, though. The Wonder Flower gimmicks are geniusly implemented. They never feel overused because out of all the game's levels, the Wonder Seed effects are never reused more than just a handful of times. They always find some way to feel unique, which allows them to avoid getting stale. They managed to break up the standard gameplay just right while putting a unique twist on the formula, unlike almost all the new Super Mario Bros. Games, which are pretty much exactly the same throughout. You run right, dodge enemies, and collect coins. And while that still remains mostly the same in Wonder, like I mentioned before, the levels are unique and the Wonder Seed gimmicks spice them up just the right amount. Not to mention, you don't even need to use them. If you really wanted to, you could just play the game without using the Wonder Flower. Now, I don't know why you'd want to do that, but I mean, you could. Also, they added unique levels in between the main ones that allow you to test out badges, which I'm not going to go into because I didn't really use them, so I don't have that much experience with them. Just know that they technically are supposed to help accommodate a wide range of playstyles. Now, did they actually do that, or did they just make the game a little easier? Isn't something I'm going to go into today, because like I said, I don't have much experience with them. And besides these badge testing levels, they also added other unique levels just to spice things up even more. Okay, for the final thing that made Mario Wonder stand out, at least in my eyes, was this brand new art style. I mean, just look at it. It's unique, it's colorful, it's adorable. Like, oh my god, just look at Yoshi. I mean, it's wonderful. Look at this Goomba from New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Now look at this Goomba as it runs for its life in a pathetic attempt to spare itself from the sheer power of my boots. Okay, so to sum things up, New Super Mario Bros. Was basic, samey, and boring, while Wonder used things like unique level gimmicks and new level formats and a brand new unique art style to stand out. Okay, finally, here we are at the end, and here are my thoughts. The game is great. It's unique in so many ways and breathed new life into not just a dying series, but a dying genre. It's just a masterpiece of a game that has helped to preserve the legacy of the iconic Red Plumber in a way that no 3D Mario game could ever have come close to doing. Just, man, what a game. Well, that's it, I guess. Thanks for watching. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a while, but I'm on a high schooler schedule, and other things have to take my priority sometimes. Also, I know I didn't go too in-depth into Mario Wonder itself, but that wasn't the point of the video. Sure, there are things like Yoshi which offer a different playstyle and the badges, but I just really wanted to show how Mario Wonder improved on the main gameplay and atmosphere of the previous 2D Mario games over fully analyzing Mario Wonder. I'm not on the script right now, so I'm stumbling. Might make something like that in the future. Also, I tried to make this video a lot shorter than my usual length. Again, I didn't really want to go as in-depth as I usually did, unlike most of my other videos, because they take a lot of work and a lot of time that, like I said, I don't really have. But it still ended up taking 15 minutes. More, honestly, right now, because I won't shut up. Well, anyway, I don't have anything else to say, so...
Actually, I do still have some things that I want to say. One, again, like most of this video, this is about my 8 millionth time trying to record this segment because of various issues that I still have not figured out how to fix, but here I am. It has been over a year since I started on this, and I am so happy to finally be done with it. All that work, and I'm still sitting here with my face in my hands, thinking, man, this is really not what I wanted it to be. But that's okay. That's okay. I am still gonna put this out here because it's been a year. At this point, I need to throw in the towel and just say I tried my best on this. I hope it's good. I don't I don't want to put something out that's bad, and I don't think this is bad. I really do think I'm just kind of downing on myself here, and it is not really that bad, but what are you gonna do? So yeah, other than that, thanks for putting up with me for a year, and I'd like to thank all the new people that have showed up since I started this, and everybody who was here before that is still sticking with me for some reason. Thank you so much, and yeah, that's about it. Oh, and I'm sorry some of the stuff was difficult to listen to. I'm sure was sick when I recorded these lines. I think because that was about a year ago at this point. I think I was sick. It sounds like I was sick. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to add on. Just a thank you for putting up with me, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Goodbye.